Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds. It's Tuesday, and we are talking Chiefs football because a bunch of rookies are currently running drills for the Chiefs. A mini camp is happening right now. The players are getting used to the playbook, how the coaching staff works, working together. And I was reading a really interesting article. One of the guys that's throwing with the rookies right now is kind of Patrick Mahomes' eyes and ears, which I think is pretty cool that he trusts one of these young guys to kind of say, hey, this is the guy. I don't know about that guy. I love that guy. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably right. That does go on. There's communications between them. And you're right. The whole idea is to indoctrinate these guys into professional football. It's different, folks. It is altogether different, as is any profession as opposed to an amateur. But in football, it's rather marked, and the same with baseball. But the fact is that they have the rookies in camp, and how long are they there? Well, they're there till next Monday, and that's when the other end of the camp begins. They're the OTCs, or OTAs, I beg your pardon. OTA is one of the acronym, and that is Organized Team Activity. So what they do there, and I must admit, I don't know whether this is mandatory or not, but many of the veterans and Mahomes will be there, and so will some of the others. They all go to the camp and they work, they intermix with the rookies and so forth and so on. And they go through 7-on-7 drills and 9-on-9 and sometimes 11-on-11. And they are allowed to wear pads, but they are not allowed any contact during this entire time. That's the OTAs. That begins next Monday, the day after Mother's Day. So interesting to see what they have, and that it's a good way for the coaches to assess the whole level of camp that they'll have up in St. Joe. It's a pretty good deal. NFL okays it, and hey, go with it.
You know, I cannot recommend it enough. If you have a small child or teenager that's really into sports, take them up to St. Joe. The access you get as a Chiefs fan, you might already know this, but if you don't, it's definitely worth the trip if you can make it up to training camp. It's always a lot of fun. So, is there any surprise that the teenager from France is the NBA's top rookie so far?
Not at all, Mike. 7'4", Victor Wembanyama. He comes over from Paris. He may have turned 20. He came over when he was 19 earlier this year. And is really a fine athlete. And we've seen it on the film, and he proved it. He's not big and bulky like a lot of the bigger kids in the NBA or bigger men in the NBA, but he is very lithe and can get the job done. Averaged 21 points a game with just under 11 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and 3.5 blocks per game in the NBA. Now, this is the NBA. These are the best players in the world. And here's this teenager from France coming over, and while not dominating the game, certainly making a name for himself. And from here on in, he is going to be a big star if you can't consider him that already. Of course, who have they had in the past? David Robinson and, any number of individuals who can really qualify. Tim Duncan, big stars. And here's this kid coming in here, and he figures to be among those guys.
Never can tell, though. Never can tell.
Well, injuries, of course, the rate of attrition is such, and he's young. He's certainly going to have some injuries along the line, but see how he comes around.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of seeing how they come around, where are the baseball Bears playing today?
Well, weather permitting, they are playing in Cape Girardeau against Southeast Missouri. Southeast Missouri was up here earlier this year, and the Bears hammered them 10-3. This is a non-conference game, doesn't mean a thing, but this weekend will mean a lot, and next weekend will mean a lot because these will be the final conference games of the year. But this one is not. It's the Bears of Southeast Missouri. Southeast is an Ohio Valley Conference ball club. And, hey, get your game back in order if you can.
Ned Reynolds, Mike the intern, back in the studio on a Tuesday morning. Did the Cardinals finally get some hits last night?
They got 8 of them in total, but again, it was inconsistent and they were bunched. The Cardinals did score 3 runs against the New York Mets, all 3 in 1 inning to tie up the ball game, but hey, winning is the bottom line, and the Cardinals did not win. New York Mets beat them 4-3. Brandon Nimmo, I love this too because I think this is indicative of how the game of baseball is played. He was the New York Mets' #1 draft choice in 2011. Think about that now. That's a long time ago, 13 years ago. And here he is coming around and proving himself. He's a regular, has been a regular on the team, and Nimmo smashed one into the right field seats, and I mean, it was long gone. It was a big-time Major League home run, and that's what won it for the New York Mets 4-3. The ball club is just simply not playing consistent baseball. You've got to be able to do that. Bunching your runs in one inning is fine, but that's it? 3 runs in one inning? Come on. That's not going to win. And the New York Mets, the bothersome part about this is, Mike, they're not a very good team at all. No, and the Chicago White Sox, who the Cardinals just lost to, are the worst team in baseball. Can't do that, gang. You've got to come around and start playing some games and start winning them, even at this time, still early in the year.
Just consistency.
That's all you're looking for.
That's it. Just consistency. Consistency. You know, the Royals, pretty consistent most of the time. How about them?
Last night, case in point.
I know.
Beat the Milwaukee Brewers 3-2, coming from behind to do so. And I'll tell you what the Royals have, too. Cole Ragans is a really good pitcher. They got him last year from the Texas Rangers. He, in 6 innings, had 8 strikeouts last night. But again, it's the Royals playing as a team. Who gets the big hit last night? Michael Massey had a home run, kid from University of Illinois. And he's in their pit. They're all contributing. Bobby Witt Jr., of course, and the whole team is just blending together. And that's great. Now, how long that continues, that remains to be seen, because I don't think the Royals are quite mature enough yet to challenge for a championship. Maybe wrong. I hope I am. But I think they're certainly going to be a contending team, and one that will be a big pain in the backside to a lot of teams in every level of baseball, not just in the American League Central, but everywhere, because they can win any time out and are doing it.
I'm telling you, last year jumping ship was the best thing I could have possibly done for my mental health. I'm telling you. And again, it always comes down to what I've always said is, just give me a season to root for. I would ask a Cardinals fan, how much fun are you having watching your team so far this year? And I would tell you that as far as watching the Royals, whether or not they win, I'm still having fun watching them because they're playing consistent. Last but not least, we still have hockey playoffs and basketball playoffs. Let's talk about it.
And the NBA, the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers opened their second round series at Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks held on. The Pacers are pretty good. New York Knicks beat them 121-117 and did it in the final seconds. The other game absolutely astounds this reporter. The Denver Nuggets are the reigning NBA champions. They're very good. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who are, well, they don't have the home court advantage. Denver does. Minnesota's won both games on Denver's home court. Last night, 106-80. They embarrassed the champions. And they did it even without their center, Rudy Gobert, who became a father last night. He wasn't even in the game. Didn't even play. And here, Minnesota just runs Denver right out of Colorado. It was an exercise in quickness, in defensive skills, in horsing on the boards. Jokic, who is the big star, Nikola Jokic for Denver, he was hammered everywhere. He did get 16 points, but he was beaten to a pulp underneath.
They figured out a way to stop him.
They do have the way.
Yeah.
And the big kids, Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards and people like that on Minnesota. It's a good basketball team, and now they have 2 games back home in Minneapolis. They could sweep the series.
Yeah, they could. And it would be something for sure. If you figure out a way to stop that big dude in Denver, you've definitely figured out a way to stop that team. Ned, you have a great day. Stay dry. I'll see you tomorrow.